Okay, this is my buckshot test, and unfortunately I didn't get any video of me shooting any of this, but this is 4 different loadings of buckshot that are common to people that are searching. I buy tons of different brands of buckshot, from Federal to Royal, Hornady, Spartan, Remington. I've bought just all types of brands, herders. I've tried a lot of the unique shells, and I'm just trying to find what shoots best for me and what would be best. There's no perfect round, but I found one of my favorites in this one, which is that Federal Premium, and that has the flight control wad. I'll read this off. I'll show you all the specifications on these rounds. It's a 2 3/4 inch buckshot, 9 pellets, double aught, 13.25 feet per second. And they make a law enforcement edition of this and a hunting round version of this, and I would say it would fit all of those perfectly. We'll talk later about the accuracy of this round. I'll show you the rest of these. This is the Hornady Critical Defense, and it also has a special type of wad called the Versatile wad. It's a double aught buck, 12 gauge, 2 3/4, 8 pellet. Yeah, 8 pellets, and it's got that, I believe what's called Grex. It's like a lot of these shells are putting it in there now. It's like a media filler to get a tighter pattern. Anyway, it's 1600 feet per second, which is kind of like, wow. I don't know if that, I don't have a chronograph, but that's pretty fast. Anyway, moving on to the cheapest buckshot on the table, and also the only low brass on the table. And this is called Spartan Buck. I've been shooting this for a couple years, and I've shot hogs with it, and it works fine within its distance. It's not long range by any means. This is from 10 foot out to 30 foot max. Once you get out any further than that, you're not really you're just throwing lead and hoping. This doesn't have a feet per second on it, but it does cycle. I will say that I've never had a cycling issue I use a Mossberg 930 Tactical, and I've never had a cycling issue with this. It's a semi-automatic shotgun. It's a 18.5 inch tactical shotgun. But yeah, anyway, it cycles it just fine. This stuff is $10 for a box of 25. So for someone that wants a cheap buckshot that shoots well, maybe to train with, or even, the stuff's, still buckshot. Don't fool yourself just because it's cheap. It's not that it's bad. Let me show you. I like some of the first packages of this stuff that I bought. I've got several hundred rounds. Let's see this. The shells are kind of cheaper. They're not, you could reload them, I guess, but they're not the greatest reload holes if you were going to be reloading these. But the new ones, the company has started putting in a clear end cap, so you can see, which I like that. It's pretty cool. You see what you're shooting. Okay, so still great stuff. Now this is the Royal Buck, and it's on the cheaper side too. Well, I say cheaper side, it's $3. Just under, it was on sale for $2.65, I believe, somewhere around there. And for 5 shells, I don't know if you do the math on that, but 2 3/4, 13.45, 1,345 feet per second, 9 pellets, double aught buck. One of the things I like about this, it is high brass, and it's clear, so the ability to see what you're shooting, and it's still got a good hole. And it's a quality hole for reloading. So yeah, all these holes are good for reloading in my opinion, except I wouldn't, but they're just a little. They're like those birdshot loads. They're not the greatest hole in the world. Anyway, moving on. What I did was I shot these from 50 feet three shots each. And I made sure to note, because I want everybody to understand that the Hornady did have one pellet less than these others that I tested, but they market this as a home defense load, and that's what I see Buckshot as, and also a good hog load. Or I don't think I would ever really hunt bucks with it or deer with it, but hogs definitely. On the critical defense, on the first shot I got 4 pellets on target. The second was 7, and the last shot was 3. It's a 10-inch plate, 50 feet, with 8 pellets. So you do the math. The Spartan, which is this stuff right here, the cheaper stuff, is 3 on the first shot, 2 on the second, 2 on the last. And I know that's not horribly impressive, but it is $10 for a box of 25, so it's cheaper Buckshot, and within its distance, I think I just pushed the distance on it, and I found its weakness in the distance. So keep that less than 50 foot, and you've got a cheap Buckshot, if you're shooting from a deer blind or something like that, at hogs within under 50 foot, you're fine. The Royal is what surprised me, being one of the cheaper brands. It, in my opinion, is shot better than the critical defense. It's the good stuff. Less than $3 for a box of 5. And they do bargains on these all the time, where you buy like 250 rounds, and it's, you save a lot of money on it. I buy a lot of this because it goes on sale. Like every time you turn around, it's on sale at pretty much anywhere that sells it. They mark it down all the time. I try to get it less than $3 if I can, because I see that it's fair. It's good shot, and the shell's reloadable. So take it for what it is. And that was 6 on the first shot, 5 on the second, and 6 on the last. And again, 10-inch plate, 50 feet. The Federal, which is the one I found these shells the other day, and I've been waiting for a long time to get a hold of this Federal, because anybody that shoots the Federal likes it. And they say it's a wonderful hunting round and self-defense round. And I think I was watching someone else's video, and they were talking about how this has become, a lot of the law enforcement are using this round. I don't know how true that is, but there you go. Anyway, 989. At 50 foot, the group was so tight it looked like a ball of, looked like the size of my fist, just lead splatter and wad. So at 50 foot, this is still pretty much, it's just coming out of that wad, I would say. That's what it looks like to me, because you can still see individual hits, but it's so tight that it's, this stuff would be awesome for reaching out and zapping hogs with, and delivering all that power from that shell, because this is pretty much a slug from the tip of your barrel to out probably, I would say, between 40 and 50 foot. It's still acting like a slug. Once it hits that 50-ish foot mark, it starts to spread, but very little. It's holding tight at 50 feet. And the reason I did 50 feet is because I feel that's, home defense regions, in my opinion, from one end of your house to the other is relatively close to 50 feet. So I felt that was, close enough, and that's what I marked my yard off. I walked it off, actually 50 foot, marked the line in my backyard, and I stood on that line with each one of these and shot them all. If I had to say what I would load up on, I don't have no problem still buying this stuff, because within its distance of, between 30 foot, around 30 foot, this stuff is going to be just as devastating as any of these. This stuff, has a lot, has more distance than this stuff is going to. So, tighter grouping, pretty good, and it's still very cheap. This stuff, I was disappointed with. Hoped, it's much like being $13 for a box of 10, I was expecting at least the grouping of this stuff, but it, you know, just didn't do that. So it's not, its range, it's limited to its range, so something to think about. And this stuff is probably one of my favorites for getting out there and getting the job done. And it's a good haul, so reloading is possible. Alright, yeah, take care. Thanks.